All right, so you're getting ready for a farm milk controller interview, huh? That's awesome. You'll be right in the middle of making sure the milk we all drink is, top quality.
Ah,
We're going to dive into some RoleCatcher resources today, their career guide, interview guide, and even their AI tools,
oh, nice.
all to help you totally nail this interview.
Those are really good resources. And I think they're, really right on with emphasizing how important sustainability is in the dairy industry now. It's,
Yeah.
not just about quality anymore.
Totally.
It's about producing that quality in a way that's, good for the planet, too.
For sure. The career guide really pushes that idea. It talks about how there's a growing need for farm milk controllers who can make milk production more sustainable and eco-friendly. Why is that such a big deal right now?
Well, I think there's been a huge shift in what consumers are aware of.
Yeah.
People are more conscious these days about, where their food comes from and how it impacts the environment.
Yeah.
So they want milk that's not only like yummy and nutritious, but also made responsibly, right? And that's where farm milk controllers come in. You're the key to making those greener practices happen, from cutting down waste to lowering emissions.
So it's not just about knowing the science behind milk. It's about, getting the whole ecosystem around it, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And that's something you can really highlight in your interview. It's a chance to show that you're not just, technically skilled, but also passionate about the future of the dairy industry.
Okay, so let's look at the interview guide. It's got 10 questions that you might get asked. Want to try a few of them together?
For sure. Let's unpack these questions and figure out how to, approach them in a way that really shows what you're good at. Remember, it's not just about giving, textbook answers.
Right?
It's about showing that you really understand the job and that you're excited about it.
All right, first up, how did you become interested in the agriculture industry? It seems like a basic question, but what are they really looking for here?
I think this question is all about figuring out if you have a genuine interest in and passion for the field.
Okay.
They want to see, that spark, that connection to agriculture, and especially to dairy. Think of it as a chance to tell your story. What pulled you into this world? Was it, something from your childhood on a farm, or maybe you were just fascinated by the science behind food, or maybe it was a desire to help create sustainable food systems.
So it's less about listing your qualifications and more about showing your genuine enthusiasm.
Oh,
I
you
like
mean-
that. So
yeah.
pretend I'm the interviewer and I ask you that question. How did you become interested in the agriculture industry?
Well, I've always been interested in the really complex processes behind how our food is made. I remember as a kid reading about the science of milk, how this simple drink has so much nutrition packed into it. And it really made me curious about the journey from farm to table. And, that eventually led me to explore the super important role of quality control in the dairy industry. I'm really passionate about making sure that every single drop of milk that people drink is safe, nutritious, and produced responsibly.
I can hear how much you care about it. You brought it to life and tied it back to, the heart of what a farm milk controller does.
Yeah, it's about creating a story that shows your real interest and how that connects to the job.
Okay, let's try a more technical one. The interview guide has this question. How do you ensure that milk quality meets regulatory standards? This one feels like you need some in-depth knowledge for it.
Yeah, definitely. This one gets into whether you understand the industry regulations and how you actually use them in your work. They want to hear about specific things you do, your experience with monitoring and testing, and, your overall way of approaching quality control. Think about things like routine inspections of equipment, hygiene protocols, how you sample and test the milk, and any data analysis you do.
So it's not just about knowing the rules, it's about showing how you put them into practice. Could you maybe give an example of how you might answer this question?
Sure. For example, you could say something like, I make sure we follow all the guidelines set by HI. And then you'd mention the specific regulatory bodies in your region, starting with super careful inspections right on the farm, focusing on things like hygiene practices, making sure the equipment's sanitized, and keeping an eye on animal health. We collect milk samples all the time, and we run tests, including somatic cell counts, checking for bacteria, and analyzing the fat and protein content using, and here you'd mention the specific equipment you know how to use. If anything's off, we look into it right away, and I work with the farmers to fix things.
Wow, you put in a lot of detail there.
Yeah.
I especially like how you mentioned specific equipment and testing processes. It shows you really know what you're talking about.
Yeah, being specific is key. It gives the interviewer a clear picture and proves you have practical experience.
Right. It's not just about saying you know something. It's about showing that you've actually done it.
Hmm.
Now, before we go into more questions, I want to point out that RoleCatcher's AI can really help you fine-tune your answers. Like imagine this, tailored feedback on your responses, even analysis of video practice sessions.
Yeah, that personalized feedback is super helpful. It can help you figure out where you can improve, refine how you deliver your answers, and present yourself with more confidence.
Exactly. It's like having your own coach right there on your phone.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to those interview questions. The next one is all about managing milk production and processing schedules.
Oh, that's an important one. It looks at your organizational skills and whether you can make a complex process with lots of moving parts, mind you, as efficient as possible. Think about showing off your experience with creating and managing those schedules, taking into account things like how big the herd is, how often they're milked, what the equipment can handle, and when everything needs to be processed by.
Okay, I'm already feeling like I need to brush up on my dairy farm vocab, but
Yeah.
seriously, this is where your ability to think logistically and juggle a bunch of factors really comes in.
Absolutely. It's all about showing that you can handle the pressure of tight deadlines, unexpected problems, and making sure that high quality milk is maintained throughout the whole process.
Because any delays or inefficiencies could mess up the final product, right?
Exactly. Freshness is key in the dairy industry. So when you're answering this question, really emphasize your attention to detail, your ability to solve problems, and how you adapt to those inevitable curveballs.
Gotcha. So let's say I'm the interviewer again. I ask you, how do you manage milk production and processing schedules? How would you handle that one?
Well, my approach to managing those schedules is all about efficiency and keeping that milk quality top-notch. First, I work closely with the farm team to understand their milking schedule, things like the herd size and milking frequency. Then, I use that info to make the processing schedule, making sure we have enough people and resources ready to handle all the milk coming in. I use scheduling software to get a visual overview of the whole process, see if there are any bottlenecks, and adjust things as needed.
So you're not just making a schedule and calling it a day. It sounds like constant monitoring and adapting is key.
You got it. There are always going to be unexpected things popping up, equipment breaking down, weather delays, you name it. It's all about being flexible, finding quick solutions, and keeping everything running smoothly.
Makes sense. Now, the next question in the interview guide is, how do you manage milk storage and distribution? It sounds like this one is about what happens after the milk is processed.
It is, and this is where your knowledge of proper milk storage and transportation logistics is important. They want to hear about your commitment to maintaining quality all the way through, from the processing plant to the person buying it at the store.
Okay, break it down for me. What are the most important points to hit when answering this question?
Definitely start by highlighting that you know how to store milk properly. Temperature control, sanitation, proper tank management, those are the big ones. Then talk about your experience coordinating with transportation companies, making sure those pickups and deliveries happen on time, all while following safety and quality regulations.
So it's like a balancing act between knowing the technical stuff, like keeping the milk at the right temperature, and understanding how to get it where it needs to go safely and efficiently.
Exactly. Think of yourself as the guardian of milk quality,
I like that.
making sure every step from storage to distribution is done super carefully.
Got it. So if I were the interviewer asking, how do you manage milk storage and distribution? What would your process look like?
Well, keeping that milk quality high during storage and distribution is my top priority. First things first, I make absolutely sure all those storage tanks are clean and sanitized thoroughly. We stick to temperature control protocols really carefully. Can't have any bacteria ruining things, right? I'm always keeping an eye on inventory levels and making sure we're using the tanks efficiently so we minimize waste and have a constant supply of fresh product. And when it comes to distribution, I work with transportation partners who have refrigerated trucks and know all the rules about transporting milk safely. We plan those routes and schedules really carefully to make sure the milk spends as little time in transit as possible and gets delivered to our customers on time.
That's a pretty comprehensive approach. You covered everything from temperature to route planning. Sounds like you've got all your bases covered.
It's all about showing a streamlined, quality-focused process.
Now let's shift gears a bit and look at a question that really focuses on your technical expertise. What experience do you have with milk testing and analysis? It seems like this is where your lab skills really come in.
For sure. This is your chance to highlight those hands-on experiences with all the different ways to test milk. Talk about how you understand those different analytical techniques and how you can interpret the results and take action based on what you find.
Okay, so what should people keep in mind when answering this question? What will really wow the interviewer?
Be specific. Don't just say, like, I've done milk testing. Go deeper. Talk about the types of tests you've done, the equipment you've used, and the specific things you've analyzed. Think somatic cell counts, bacterial cultures, analyzing the fat and protein content, all that good stuff.
Right, so paint a clear picture of your skills and knowledge. Show them you're not just a theorist. You actually get your hands dirty.
Exactly. They need to see that you can contribute to quality control from a scientific standpoint.
Okay, let's pretend I'm the interviewer again, and I ask you, what experience do you have with milk testing and analysis?
Well, throughout my career, I've built a strong foundation in milk testing and analysis. I'm good at a variety of tests, including somatic cell counts using mention the specific equipment, bacterial cultures using mention the specific method, and fat and protein content analysis using mention the specific instrument. I'm also comfortable interpreting those results, spotting any deviations from the standards, and recommending what to do to fix things.
Boom. Nailed it. You gave specific examples of tests and equipment, and you even talked about how you analyze results and take action. That's a home run.
It's about presenting yourself as a well-rounded professional, someone who can handle both the practical and analytical sides of the job.
And speaking of being well-rounded, RoleCatcher's AI can help you show off those strengths even more. Their platform can actually analyze how you answered this specific question and give you feedback on how to make it even better. It's like a secret weapon.
Totally. That kind of personalized feedback can be super helpful. It helps you see where you can improve and make sure you're putting your best foot forward.
Okay, let's tackle another question from the interview guide. What experience do you have with milk processing equipment? This one seems geared towards understanding, your hands-on experience with the actual machinery involved.
It is. They want to know if you're comfortable working with the tools of the trade and if you understand how important well-maintained equipment is for making sure the milk is good quality.
All right, so how should someone prepare for this question? What are the key things they should focus on?
Start by talking about the specific types of equipment, like pasteurizers, homogenizers, separators, or anything else that's relevant to what you've done. Explain briefly what they do and highlight your experience running them, cleaning them, and keeping them in good shape.
So it's about showing off your practical know-how and understanding that good equipment is the foundation for making good milk.
Right. You can even mention any relevant training or certifications you have in operating or maintaining this equipment. That makes your answer even stronger.
Okay, let's put this into action. Imagine I'm the interviewer and I ask, what experience do you have with milk processing equipment? What would your answer be?
Well, I have hands-on experience with a bunch of different milk processing equipment, including processing it all. And here you'd mention the specific types you know. I'm good at operating these machines and making sure they're properly sanitized and maintained, following all the established protocols. I understand how important regular cleaning and preventative maintenance is to prevent contamination and keep things running smoothly.
Great. You hit all the key points, mention the specific equipment, and emphasize the importance of maintenance. Now let's move on to a question that focuses on inventory management. How do you manage inventory of raw milk and finished products? This sounds really important for keeping a steady milk supply and minimizing waste.
Absolutely. This question is all about showing that you can keep track of incoming raw milk, monitor the finished product levels, and find that balance between meeting demand and making sure nothing spoils.
So what are the golden nuggets of information to focus on when answering this question?
Start by explaining your system for tracking raw milk deliveries. Make sure you're accurately recording quantities and quality parameters. Then, walk them through how you keep an eye on the finished product inventory, considering things like production rates, sales forecasts, and storage capacity.
So you're proving that you can juggle supply and demand while keeping a close eye on the clock so everything stays fresh.
You got it. This is a great time to mention any experience you have with inventory management software, your ability to analyze data and predict demand, and how you take a proactive approach to minimizing waste.
Okay, let's do another role play. I'm the interviewer, and I ask, how do you manage inventory of raw milk and finished products? Go for it.
I use a combination of digital tracking systems and good old-fashioned hands-on monitoring to manage both raw milk and finished product inventory. We carefully document each batch of raw milk when it arrives, recording everything. The volume, the supplier, the initial quality parameters, all of it. That information goes into our inventory management system, where I can track its journey through processing and into the finished products. I pay close attention to sales data and upcoming orders so we can adjust production as needed, making sure we have enough to meet demand without making too much and risking spoilage.
That's really impressive. You clearly laid out your system, showing how much attention you pay to detail and how you use data to minimize waste.
Efficiency and quality go hand in hand in milk production, right?
Okay, let's switch gears again. The interview guide lists. How do you ensure that milk production processes are sustainable and environmentally friendly? This feels super relevant now that everyone's focused on sustainability in the food industry.
Definitely a hot topic. This is your chance to show that you understand the principles of sustainability and how they apply to the dairy industry.
Okay, so what should you really highlight when you answer this question? What are the interviewers looking for?
Start by talking about your understanding of the key sustainability principles in dairy things, like reducing water use, minimizing waste and emissions, and promoting animal welfare. Then, get into the specific actions you've taken or would implement to make milk production more eco-friendly.
So don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. Give them concrete examples of your sustainability know-how.
Exactly. Have you put in place any water conservation measures? Explored ways to reduce waste or use alternative energy sources for the processing equipment? Worked with farmers to improve how they manage feed and manure? Those are the kinds of things that will impress them.
Awesome examples. It's about showing you're not just following the trend, you're really committed to making the dairy industry better for the environment. Now, if I were the interviewer asking, how do you ensure that milk production processes are sustainable and environmentally friendly? Enko, what would your response be?
Well, sustainability is incredibly important to me, and I'm committed to making sure that environmentally friendly practices are part of everything we do in milk production. I've been involved in projects to reduce water consumption in the milking parlor by using mention-specific water-saving measures. I've also looked into mention-specific waste reduction or energy-saving initiatives to lessen the environmental impact of processing. And I think it's essential to work with farmers to improve how they manage, feed, and handle manure that's crucial for a truly sustainable dairy industry.
Wow, that's a powerful statement. You didn't just give generic ideas, you gave specific examples of how you're actively making a difference.
It's about showing that you're not just going along with the sustainability trend, you're really invested in making the dairy industry better for the planet.
Okay, let's move on to a question that's not as much about technical skills and more about whether you understand the business side of things. What experience do you have with milk marketing and sales?
This one is about showing you can think strategically about the milk market. They want to see if you understand consumer trends and if you can help with marketing and sales.
All right, so how should someone approach this question, especially if their experience is more focused on the production side?
If you have direct experience with milk marketing and sales, definitely talk about that. Mention the types of products you've marketed, the strategies you used, and any successful campaigns you've worked on. But even if you haven't done much sales work, you can still show that you know about the market.
So how would someone without much direct sales experience answer this question?
Talk about how aware you are of consumer trends in the dairy industry. Have you noticed that people are wanting more organic or plant-based alternatives? Are there certain groups of people or niche markets that are especially important for milk sales? Showing that you're thinking about those bigger market trends proves you have business sense.
That's a good point. It's about showing you understand the big picture, even if your main expertise is in a specific area.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to mention any courses, workshops, or even personal interests you have in marketing or sales. It shows that you want to learn new things and expand your skill set.
All right, let's hear how you'd answer this one. Pretend I'm the interviewer, and I ask, what experience do you have with milk marketing and sales?
Well, while my main focus has been on quality control and production, I've always been interested in how the dairy market works. I make sure I stay up to date on consumer trends, like the growing demand for organic and locally sourced milk. And I find it fascinating how companies are adapting to meet these new preferences. I've also taken some online courses on marketing to learn more about this side of the business.
That's a really good way to answer, even without direct experience. You showed you're aware of consumer trends and that you're willing to learn new skills.
It's about showing that you're flexible and want to help the company succeed, even outside your main role.
Now let's tackle the last question from the interview guide. How do you stay up to date on industry trends and developments? This one seems to be about showing your commitment to always learning new things.
Yeah, exactly. They want to know how you keep yourself informed about the constantly changing world of agriculture, especially in the dairy industry.
Okay, so What are the most important points to make when answering this? What'll impress the interviewer?
Be specific. Talk about the resources you use to stay current. Do you read industry publications? Do you go to conferences or workshops? Do you follow any experts or organizations online?
So don't just say, I read about industry trends. Give them concrete examples of your sources and how you use them.
Right. Paint the picture of yourself as someone who is actively learning and applying that new knowledge to their work. You could even talk about specific trends or innovations you've learned about and how they've changed your approach to milk production or quality control.
All right, let's do one last role play. I'm the interviewer, and I ask you, how do you stay up to date on industry trends and developments?
Well, I'm dedicated to staying at the forefront of the dairy industry. I regularly read publications like mention specific industry magazines or journals, and I make sure to attend conferences like mention relevant industry events so I can learn about the latest advancements in milk production, processing, and quality control. I'm also active in online forums and professional groups so I can connect with other people in the industry and learn about new trends.
That's an awesome answer. You mentioned specific resources, which shows that you really care about professional development.
It's about showing that you're not just okay with how things are. You want to keep learning and improving your skills so you can help the industry move forward.
And speaking of staying ahead of the game, let's not forget about the amazing resources RoleCatcher offers. Their AI tools can be a game changer when it comes to getting ready for your interview.
Definitely. They can help you tailor your resume and cover letter to specific job descriptions, analyze how you answer interview questions, and even give you personalized feedback on practice videos.
It's like having a personal career coach right there with you. Right. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground today. We talked about how to answer those common interview questions, why it's important to show your skills and passion, and how powerful it can be to use tools like RoleCatcher's AI.
It's all about showing that you're a well-rounded candidate, someone who is not only technically skilled, but also passionate about the dairy industry and its future.
Now, before we move on to some other parts of being a farm milk controller, any final wisdom for our listener as they get ready for that interview?
Remember, interviews are a two-way street. It's not just about answering their questions, it's also about asking your own. It shows you're engaged and genuinely interested in the role and the company.
That's such a good point. What kind of questions should our listener ask to impress the interviewer?
Ask questions that show you understand the industry and that you're eager to learn. For example, you could ask about the company's specific sustainability efforts or how they're using new technology in milk production.
Those are great examples.
Yeah.
It proves you've done your homework and that you're thinking beyond just the basic requirements of the job.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask about chances to grow and develop professionally within the company. It shows you're ambitious and want to build a long-term career there.
I love that. It's all about showing that you're not just looking for any job. You're looking for a career where you can grow and make a real difference.
And remember, confidence is key. You got this. Believe in yourself, show off what you know, and let your passion shine through.
That's awesome advice. Let your passion shine through. Okay, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll dig into some insights from the RoleCatcher Career Guide that'll give you an even deeper understanding of this exciting role.
Welcome back. I'm excited to dig into some of those insights from RoleCatcher's Career Guide. It really paints a, fascinating picture of what it actually means to be a farm milk controller these days.
Okay, so let's unpack this career guide. What really jumped out at you? What should our listeners know about this role?
One thing that really stood out was the emphasis on data analysis and technology.
Oh, interesting.
The farm milk controller today, it's not just about like clipboards and doing things manually anymore.
Okay.
You're using like sophisticated software, data tracking systems, even predictive analytics to make milk production the best it can be.
That's really cool. So it's a mix of like traditional farming knowledge and super modern tech.
Exactly. Think about it. You're looking at data from all the milk testing, keeping tabs on herd health and how much they're producing, monitoring how the equipment's doing, even forecasting how much milk you think you'll get in the future. It's all about using data to make smart decisions so you can get the highest quality and the most efficiency.
It sounds like this role is changing really fast, which makes it even more important to stay up to date on all the latest trends, huh?
For sure. And the career guide points out some really interesting ones, like there's a growing focus on these precision farming techniques.
Precision farming.
Yeah, it's where they use sensors, GPS tech, and data analysis to optimize everything from, when they feed the cows to how they graze.
So it's using tech to make farming more precise and efficient. kind of like how a GPS gets you to your destination.
Exactly. And for a farm milk controller, this means you're not just overseeing things, you're actually using data to make the process better. Like tiny tweaks that can make a big difference in milk quality and how much they produce.
It's almost like a farm milk controller is kind of like a detective,
Oh, I like that.
always looking at data for clues to improve the whole operation.
Yeah, you're always trying to find ways to improve things, whether it's, spotting a potential health problem in the herd early on,
Right.
or figuring out how to make the milking process smoother to cut down on waste.
And that brings us back to sustainability, which we were talking about before.
Mhm.
It seems like a farm milk controller has a big role to play in making dairy farming more environmentally friendly.
Totally. The career guide talks about all kinds of sustainability initiatives that farm milk controllers are involved in, like cutting down on water usage in the milking parlor, setting up manure management systems that are, better for the environment, and even exploring things like renewable energy to power the farm.
So you're not just making awesome milk, you're also helping make the planet a little healthier. That's got to
Mhm.
feel good.
Definitely. And the career guide also points out how important communication and collaboration skills are for this role. You're
Yeah.
working with farmers, vets, the people at the processing plant, even the transportation companies.
Yeah, lots of moving parts.
It sounds like a really dynamic job where you're always interacting with different people.
It does. What are some tips for, showing off those communication skills during an interview?
I think it's all about showing that you can explain complicated things clearly and simply. Try using real-life examples to show how you communicate. Like, you could describe a time when you had to explain a new quality control procedure to a farmer, or how you help smooth things over when there was a disagreement between people on the team.
So it's not just saying I'm a good communicator, it's about giving them real examples.
Exactly. And don't forget, active listening is also a big part of communication. In an interview, really pay attention to what the interviewer is asking, ask clarifying questions if you need to, and give thoughtful answers.
Good advice. Now, before we finish up with the career guide, I wanted to touch on one more thing it highlights. How important problem solving is for a farm milk controller.
Oh, yeah, for sure. This role is all about being ready for challenges, coming up with creative solutions, and making sure that whole milk production process is humming along smoothly.
What are some examples of problems that might pop up for a farm milk controller, and how would they go about solving them?
Well, you could run into anything. Like a sudden drop in milk quality, equipment that breaks down, even something like bad weather messing up the transportation schedules. It's all about being resourceful, thinking on your feet, and using what you know about the whole milk production process to come up with solutions.
So it's like being a milk detective, but you're also a milk superhero, saving the day.
Haha, I like that. And the career guide suggests talking about those problem-solving skills during your interview. Share examples of times when you successfully dealt with a challenge, explaining what you did and the positive results you got.
It's all about showing you can handle those unexpected things that are bound to happen.
Exactly. And that's another area where RoleCatcher's AI can be really helpful. Their platform can actually analyze how you answer those questions about problem solving and help you make your answers even better.
It's like having your own personal editor helping you get ready for the interview. I think we've covered a lot today, from understanding industry trends and sustainability to the importance of communication and problem-solving skills. Any final thoughts on what makes a farm milk controller really stand out in today's world?
I think it comes down to this. A really good farm milk controller combines traditional knowledge with modern skills. You're passionate about the dairy industry, you're dedicated to quality and sustainability, and you're not afraid to use technology to keep getting better.
That's a great summary. It's about blending the art of farming with the science of data analysis and a genuine love for making top-notch milk.
Exactly. And for our listener, remember to let that passion show during your interview. Showcase what you know, your experience, and how much you care about this dynamic and ever-changing field.
Awesome advice. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap up our deep dive into the world of farm milk controllers. Hopefully you're feeling inspired and ready to totally rock that interview. Welcome back to our deep dive into what it takes to be a farm milk controller.
Yeah, we've covered a lot, haven't we?
We have.
From tackling those tough interview questions to, exploring how tech and sustainability are changing the dairy industry.
It's been quite the journey. I think our listeners got some great insights now to help them really nail that interview.
Absolutely. We've talked about how important it is to, show your passion, highlight those technical skills, and really demonstrate that commitment to quality and sustainability.
Right. And Let's not forget how useful those RoleCatcher AI tools can be for prepping for the interview. That personalized feedback and analysis can really make a difference.
Yeah, it's like having a coach right there with you, guiding you along.
Okay, before we wrap up this whole deep dive, any last bits of wisdom for our listener as they get ready to walk into that interview room?
I think it's important to remember that interviews are a two-way street.
Oh, good point.
It's not just about answering their questions, it's about asking your own, too.
That's true.
It shows you're really engaged and interested in the role, and the company.
For sure. What kind of questions should our listener ask to really impress the interviewer?
Ask questions that show you understand the industry and that you're eager to learn.
Okay.
Like, you could ask about the company's specific sustainability initiatives, or maybe about how they're using new technologies in milk production.
Those are great examples. It shows you've done your research and you're thinking beyond just the basic job description.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask about opportunities for professional development, or how you can grow within the company.
Yeah, I like that.
It shows that you're ambitious and looking at the long term.
It's all about showing you're not just looking for a job, you're looking for a career where you can really grow and make a difference.
Right. And remember, confidence is key. You got this. Believe in yourself. Showcase what you can do and let that passion shine through.
Love that. Well, on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of farm milk controllers. We hope you feel empowered and ready to go ace that interview.
Good luck.
And remember, RoleCatcher is there to support you every step of the way in your career journey. Until next time, happy milking.